escalation clause and when might you use one? If you are a buyer making an offer on a home and you are the only buyer, then you don't need an escalation clause. However, should you find yourself in a situation where there are multiple buyers making an offer on the same home that you're interested in making an offer on, then I highly advise using an escalation clause. There are two things that you are going to need to determine for that escalation clause. The first is you are going to need to determine the maximum price point that you're willing to pay for this home. You have to understand that there's a difference between listing price and market price. Listing price might be what the home is listed at. Let's say this home is listed at $700,000. But market price is what buyers are willing to pay for it. Perhaps there's a buyer out there that's willing to pay $850,000 for that home. Listing price versus market price. So you as a buyer and using your escalation clause are going to need to determine what is the maximum price point that not only are you qualified for, but are you comfortable with? Because sometimes the amount of cash you have sitting in your bank account or what your lender has pre-qualified you for is not necessarily the amount that you're willing to pay for a home. So one, determine that maximum price point. Say it's listed at $700,000 again. Perhaps your maximum price point that you're willing to pay is $800,000, maximum price point. The second thing that you're going to need to consider is your bidding increments. You are going to make an offer at listing price for $700,000 on that home with an escalation clause of a maximum price point of $800,000. And you're going to say, I am willing to make X amount of dollars in jumps should this home go over $700,000 and we get ourselves in a bidding situation. So say you determine that you're okay with $10,000 jumps. What that means is if the second highest offer before yours is $740,000, then you will win that home at $750,000 with that $10,000 escalated jump. And you didn't even have to use your maximum price point that you were willing to go to, which is one of the reasons why we use escalation clauses, to save you money and not have you put all your money on the table. Now, another thing that's important to remember is nobody can push you past your maximum escalation clause amount. So say that the second highest bid was $795,000. Well, even though you have a $10,000 incremental jump, you would still win that home at $800,000 because that was your maximum point and nobody can push you past that. Now, one of the most common questions I get from buyers when they're using an escalation clause is, how do we know everyone's being honest in this process? Like, how do we know they're not lying to us? Well, that's a great question. It's an important question to ask. Legally, when the sellers and listing agent accept your offer, they have to show you the competing offer and send it to you so you can physically see that there was an offer that escalated you to that price point. So that's why you use escalation clauses, and I highly advise them when you're in a situation and competing against another buyer. It can give you some security and some control in the situation and help you to not put all your money on the table if you don't have to.